Do you want to know 7 reasons why Andre SOG Ward defeats Sergey Krusher Kovalev? If so, stay tuned to this video. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Back with my 7 reasons series. 7 reasons why Andre Ward defeats Sergey Kovalev. November 19th, T-Mobile Arena, Las Vegas. Now, this should be a great fight. Very good fight. Most meaningful fight of 2016. A lot on the line. Light heavyweight supremacy. Also, this fight, to me, establishes the #1 pound-for-pound person. I don't care what anyone else says. That, to me, is it. 2 undefeated fighters. 2 guys who seem like they have a crazy willpower and an immense drive. I'm really looking forward to see this. And if you want to know 7 reasons, let's get it in. Now, as always, my list, 7 reasons, in no particular order. I just want to highlight the 7 reasons why I believe Andre Ward will defeat Kovalev November 19th. Number 1 is Ward activity. Now, a lot of people actually feel the exact opposite. They say, oh, Ward's been inactive. But if you think about it, Ward has had more activity this year alone than he's had in, like, let's say a past 3-4 years. And that's because a shoulder injury, some legal trouble. He's past that. A lot of people want to keep bringing up the inactivity, but I'm bringing up the amount of activity. I talked to Andre Ward after one of his fights, and what he told me is the more you fight, the frequency of your fighting, your arsenal begins to open up. And if you think of it, he fought Paul Smith last year. Then this year, he already came back and moved up into the full light heavyweight. I was at that fight. Sullivan Barrera, a #1 ranked mandatory for Kovalev, and he knocked him down and looked pretty good in that fight. You know what I mean? I was 5 rows back or whatnot. He looked good, and that was his very first fight, light heavyweight, against a puncher. He looked good in that fight, came back against Alexander Brand, a super middleweight, but nonetheless a guy who was at least trying for a period of time. Then it looked like Brand was just content going the distance and talking shit after. And that's his second fight. His third fight this year is against Kovalev, and I think he knows what's at stake, and he wants to shut up the critics. He's not much of a big talker. So I think Ward's activity, the fact that this will be his third fight this year, I think will open him up and make him sharper. If you remember, guys like Floyd Mayweather, at one point he was fighting 1 time a year. Like, I think Miguel Cotto, the year he fought him, I think that was his only fight that particular year, and then he had a brief jail stint. And when he came back, he fought Robert Guerrero, and then the second fight that year he fought Canelo, and he looked exceptional versus Canelo. So I think the fact that he's fighting with more frequency than he has had in the past is definitely motivating. You don't have to really knock off ring rust, and it's not like he had to wait a large gap of time before he got back in there. So this will be his third fight, and I see that as an advantage for Andre Ward. Number 2, very important statistic, and that's the jab. I think Andre Ward has a better, more consistent jab. Kovalev does have a good jab. He's a good boxer, and he has power in his jab. It's really like a punch. But I think Ward has a more intelligent jab, and I think it's more consistent. Ward will jab you to death, you know what I mean? And the jab is a forgotten tool in boxing, and it really sets up so much. And I think that will give Kovalev problems. They're about the same height, very close, but I think the jab, when it comes to the jab contest, I think Ward will be less likely to abandon his jab than Kovalev will. And I think that jab is going to really disrupt a lot of Kovalev's forward aggression that he normally has, because it kind of stops you in your track. If you're getting hit with the counterpuncher and a stiff jab, I mean, it's going to deter you from coming forward. And that's Kovalev's whole game plan. He needs Kovalev, to me, he's a mid-range to out boxer, right? He has to be on the out. I do think that Ward will have better luck on the inside. Number 3, Kovalev's resume. Now, Kovalev has a solid resume. However, I think about it, and when I compare the 2 resumes, I think Ward has had stylistically more uphill battles in his resume than Kovalev. Like Kovalev, he fought a 50-year-old Bernard Hopkins. It's a champion, and is a guy who has pulled a rabbit out of the hat. But you have to keep in mind that he was still 50 years old, and that's a hell of an accomplishment and something to put in the cap. But at the same time, I don't know if that prepares you for a younger guy who fights kind of similar to Bernard Hopkins and Andre Ward. You know what I mean? So you look at that. Jean Pascal had been beat before. Jean Pascal is good, but I thought he lost to guys like Unisquif Gonzalez after the fact. And to me, I think Pascal's style is tailor-made for a guy like Kovalev. If you try to go balls to the wall and bang with a guy like Kovalev, that's stupid. You know what I mean? And I don't think Jean Pascal really has the defense to do anything else. But that's, you know what I mean, that's kind of his style, and that's all wrong for a guy like Kovalev. But with Kovalev facing Ward, it's going to be a different ball game, because Ward, to me, is a complete fighter. He doesn't rely on anyone's style. He's going to be like water. Be like what, like Bruce Lee said, be like water. You put water in a cup, it becomes the cup. You see, water can crash and water can burst. Be water, my friend. You know what I mean? And I think Ward, he's just fluid. He's going to try to adapt his style to who he's in there with. Jean Pascal has not really ever showed me that. The way he fights Chad Dawson or Hopkins or Uniskov, Gonzalez, Kovalev, it's all remotely pretty much the same. You know what I mean? He doesn't really have to reinvent himself. Either he's going to win or lose with how he's been fighting. Other than that, Kovalev's fought like Ishmael Salak. He looked good in that fight, but not a world beater. Blake Caparello got knocked down, then stopped him. You know what I mean? Just guys like that. I don't really know if those guys really prepare you for an Andre Ward, right? You look at Andre Ward being in the Super 6, a lot of people act like that has an expiration date. He was still in it. He was still not favored to win, and he beat Arthur Abram. He beat Carl Froch. He beat a ton of guys like that. Kessler. He beat Edwin Rodriguez, who was off of a first round knockout in a super middleweight tournament in Monte Carlo, I believe it was. And once the fight slowed down, it was the Ward show. You know what I mean? They were kind of rough and both getting points deducted at first. And then he kept snapping Edwin Rodriguez's head back. Now, some people were like, oh, Rodriguez is not a world beater. But at the time, he was undefeated. He missed weight. Then they had a negotiation for him missing the weight. He was supposed to come in at another weight. He missed that weight. So on fight night, they said he was over 190 pounds. So once again, Ward is fighting bigger guys than him, right? Guys who are 190, like Paul Smith, missed weight by 4.5 pounds and then rehydrated to whatever weight he rehydrated to. Same thing with Chad Dawson. Chad Dawson said, I'll fight you at super middle when he was a light heavyweight champion, dropped down, but then on fight night, he ballooned up over 10 pounds of what Andre Ward did. You know what I mean? Chad Dawson was at 185 pounds roughly on fight night. So even though he dropped down, he ballooned back up in weight. So to me, Ward is consistently been more of the David than the Goliath. Kovalev has been the Goliath. Kovalev has been the guy with the crushing power, and it's worked for him. He's going in people's backyard and bombing them out, but he hasn't really had to adjust the same way. You know what I'm saying? Ward has been the underdog. People sleep on him and like, oh, Chad Dawson gonna knock him out, and then after that, oh, Chad Dawson was weight drained, or you know what I mean, whoever the person is, Carl Froch's gonna beat him up, and then he fights Carl Froch with one hand. This is a picture of Andre Ward's hand after the Carl Froch fight. He had a fractured hand and his hand looked like a cow udder. So to me, I think Ward has showed me with his resume that he could be the underdog and still emerge victorious. So when it comes to the resume and like being the underdog, I see Ward is kind of like a Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia, a lot of the fights he wasn't even favored. A lot of his biggest wins he wasn't favored to win. Matisse, Amir Khan, Eric Morales, the first fight. And that's kind of how it is with Ward. A lot of people thought, now they're not going to tell you that, but they thought Chad Dawson is too strong for him, too tall for him. Carl Froch is too rugged for him. Things like that, and then he steps and rises to the occasion. Number 4, very important, Ward's a better inside fighter. I don't have to spend too much time on that. I just think Kovalev is better from a mid to outrange, and Ward, he knows how to clinch, he knows how to frustrate you, he knows how to mug you, and he knows how to rush you, similar to like a Bernard Hopkins, where you can't get off your shots. And if Kovalev can't get off his shots with long arms, Kovalev looks at least like he looks like his arms are long, then that's going to be a real problem, because you won't be able to get the full trajectory on your power shots. And if Kovalev can't hit him with maximum force, then I don't really see what he's going to do for Andre Ward. He's going to have to rock Ward to something, to the point where he's debilitated. I've seen Darnell Boone. You guys can sleep on Boone, like, oh, who's Boone? He lost. But Boone got cracks. Boone knocked down Andre Ward, and he had to adjust. I think he even knocked down Sergey Kovalev, and that was a very close fight. And then Kovalev came back and stopped him. But I'm talking about the first fight. He stopped Adonis Stevenson, right? And then Adonis Stevenson came back and stopped him. So, I mean, it just shows you the resilience of Andre Ward. He had to adjust. and win that fight. You know what I mean? So I think Kovalev, to get the full extension on his power shots, he's going to have to use space, and Ward is very good with taking off space, which is the number 5 point. Ward will clinch. I think he's going to smother and make Kovalev frustrated with not being able to get his shots. And when fighters get frustrated and can't hit their target, plus Ward's defense is going to be very hard and discouraging for Kovalev. You're the crusher. You're looking to crush. And we've seen that in the Isaac Chilemba fight. Isaac Chilemba was very crafty, and we seen kind of like a watered down Krusher. He didn't look as good as he normally does against Isaac Chilemba. And I think frustration plays a big part, like Edwin Rodriguez versus Ward, things like that. Chilemba versus Kovalev. When fighters can't do what they set out to do, they become frustrated. Lucas Matisse versus Victor Postal. I think somewhere in those fights, somewhere along those lines, where Matisse, he's getting frustrated because Victor Postal's clinching. He's you know what I'm saying? He's not letting him get off like Ruslan Provodnikov. Ruslan Provodnikov will let you tee off on his forehead. You know what I mean? And Matisse, that's beneficial to him because he's a boxer puncher. So I think the defense and the clinch of Andre Ward is going to really frustrate a guy like Kovalev, who's a good boxer, but again, he's a good boxer against a Cleverly who's a banger, a Jean Pascal who's a banger, a 50-year-old Hopkins who's pretty elusive but maybe lost a slight step, but he could still beat guys like Shumanov or Pullet, or what's his name, Kubrat, Cairo Murat, things like that. So I think the defense and the clinch of Ward will be something. Number 6, Ward is in better shape. I was at his media day, and I think he's just disciplined. He knew the Kovalev fight was looming. That's the contract he signed with HBO. He knew that was a matter of time. So I don't think he's really left the gym. He's by all sense of the word, a gym rat. He stays ready, stays in shape, and he's not really out here doing the Winky Wright or Ricky Hatton, Prince Nassim, where he's just getting sloppy and out of shape. I don't know that Kovalev is doing that either, but I've seen Kovalev in his off season. He doesn't look like, it looks like he has to kind of get more in shape than a guy like Andre Ward. And that's just my personal opinion from photos and things that I've seen. So I give that advantage to Andre Ward. Again, when you're in a fight of this caliber, every minute detail, every statistical category makes sense. Who's in the better shape? Who has the better this? Who has the better that? And from what I've seen, Ward is overall more disciplined. He keeps his weight down. He's a guy moving up, things like that. And that's just what I've seen. And number 7, the final reason, Andre Ward's mindset and determination. And I've seen this on countless occasions firsthand. He zones out. He blacks out. It's like you're not even dealing with Andre Ward anymore. You're dealing with SOG or a fighter. Like he really, truly does. I've been to several media days, and a lot of them are, for lack of a better word, bullshit. They're running through. They don't want to show too much. They don't, you know what I mean? You don't want to reveal your game plan, and you're probably tired from making weight or hungry because you're cutting weight and whatever the situation is. So they really don't do anything for the media day. Ward, the videos on my page, watch his media day. The dude was going berserk, and he trains for large periods of time. Some people, if you put it this way, Ward's mentality and his work ethic, he trains so hard, it would be considered overtraining for a lot of people, but some people can get away with it, like Floyd Mayweather Jr. I mean, I was at his gym one time, and Ward was training. He was doing crazy stuff. He had the power hands, weighted gloves, shadow boxing. You just watch him. He like zones out. He's looking in the mirror like, yeah, hop, yeah, hop, yeah, yeah. You know what I'm saying? And he's just going through the motions over and over and over again. Ward said it himself. He says, I don't think I'm the most naturally gifted person. There's guys like Berto and stuff like that. They don't have to work as hard as me. I have to really work hard to get there. And I think that's where he excels, is because his willpower, his mental determination to not lose. That's why he hasn't lost since he was a kid, since he was 12 or whatever the situation is because of that willpower. There's a great Will Smith quote. You can find it on YouTube. And he was kind of had the same type of message. Will Smith was just saying, when I'm getting in shape for movies like Ali, he says, either you're getting off that treadmill before me or I'm going to die. I will die on that treadmill. That's it. It's that simple. Either you're getting off before me or I'll die on that treadmill. And that's kind of the mentality that I've seen with Andre Ward. So again, it's a 50-50 fight. Kovalev could catch him with something and that will be it. But I think it's going to take more than a single shot or power to get Ward that discouraged. You know what I'm saying? And for that reason, I'm picking Andre Ward. I think he just zones out. He just gets to another level. I'm trying to tell you guys. When I seen him shadow boxing for one of his fights, he was talking about the kind of the built up angst of the criticism, and he's like, yeah, a lot of writers, they don't want to write nothing positive. Okay, it's good. God bless. Y'all don't want me to go back to and he's talking to himself. He just did it at the last one too. He's on the double in bag. Okay, Drake, come on, champ. Like, and he's psyching himself up and he's hyping himself up, and it makes, he said it himself, it makes a monster out of you. I think the fact that Ward does all this and has had this resume and these performances, and a lot of people don't give him his just due. Plus, he's not an Adrian Broner type. He's not a trash talker who's going to just, oh man, you know, Andre Ward, AW, always working. He's not doing all that. So he channels it. Hold on. So he channels it all the way into his fight game and his performances. There's not a bunch of preamble and talk beforehand. It's all displayed when he gets in that ring. He doesn't trash talk and build up fights and stuff like that. You see the work he's been putting in based on his performances under those bright lights. For that reason, I'm picking Andre Ward over Sergey Kovalev. Let me know what you guys think. Drop it in the comment section. Who wins November 19th? Great fight. T-Mobile Arena, pound for pound supremacy, light heavyweight supremacy. Drop it in the comment section. Make sure you share the video, like the video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.